The story starts with 11-year-old reincarnated boy Ryoma Takebayashi. He lives alone in the forest. Also, he tamed over 1,000 slimes. Ryoma feeds his slimes with different types of food, causing the slimes to evolve into rare types with special abilities. Ryoma developed cleaner slime that washes his dishes, and his scavenger slime can eat his garbage. Ryoma lived peacefully with his slimes in the forest. Then Ryoma discovered a group of men in the forest, who had an injured friend with them. Ryoma wanted to help them. The knights were wary of Ryoma first, so Ryoma tried to tell them that he has medicine. Ryoma hadn't talked to people for a long time, and didn't know how to pronounce correct sentences. He then showed his medicine to the knights, and one of the knights checked the medicine. Followed one of the men thanked him, and Ryoma invited the group over to his apartment. Following this, Ryoma led them to his apartment, and the knights were surprised that Ryoma lived alone in the forest as a child. Suddenly, Ryoma's sticky slimes appeared and the knights wanted to attack them, but Ryoma cleared up the misunderstanding. The group apologized and one of the men told him that he is also a monster tamer, and his first monster was a slime too. After that, when they arrived at a cliff, Ryoma showed them his hidden apartment behind a spell, and they were surprised by Ryoma's home. Then one of the men noticed that Ryoma only has furniture for one person, and when Ryoma gave them healing potions, they were surprised that he made them himself. Then Ryoma introduced themselves, and he learned that Reinhardt Jamil, the head of a noble family, is sitting in front of him. He thanked Ryoma for his help. Then the other men introduced themselves. They were the Knights of Jamil. However, Ryoma learned that they was attacked by bandits in the forest, and their friend Hughes was injured. After that, Reinhardt wanted to know where he learned magic. Ryoma told them he learned it from his grandparents. He told them that they passed away 3 years ago, and as a result, he lives alone. Reinhardt thought Ryoma's story sad, and he didn't want to let a child live alone in such a dangerous forest. Ryoma said it isn't a big problem, so the magician Camille showed Ryoma a magic item to analyze his abilities. The reason was they wanted to make sure Ryoma could handle the forest on his own. They noticed that Ryoma had a very strong mental resilience that worried them. Following, Reinhardt wanted to think of a plan how he can take care of Ryoma. Therefore, Reinhardt decided to go back to his home and consult with his family about Ryoma's situation. When Hughes recovered, they said goodbye to Ryoma and thanked him for his great helping. Afterwards, Ryoma felt guilty that he couldn't tell them the truth, that his grandparents didn't die. The truth is, Ryoma lived in Japan and was an overworked office worker. He had to work overtime every day and died from overwork. Then he was told his by the gods, and they were surprised that Ryoma was so calm after hearing he is dead. Ryoma said that his death didn't come as a surprise to him because he worked in a company that exploited him. Then the creator god Gain introduced himself. They were gods from another world and told him that he died a miserable death from sneezing in the night. Ryoma couldn't believe his death was so pathetic and he was embarrassed. When he regained his senses, Ryoma was allowed to receive a reincarnation. The gods told him that he would get a new body and he'd be reborn as an 8-year-old boy. He will be sent to another world and will still have all his memories. Before Ryoma was sent to the other world, the gods helped him invent a story about his past and gave him advice and knowledge for his new life. Ryoma was also not allowed to tell anyone about his reincarnation, and he was sent to the other world. Thus, Ryoma was reborn in the world Sealfall. Arrived in the other world, the gods left Ryoma with a book of knowledge about the world and some equipment. Ryoma then tests his powers. He also discovered slimes and using his book of instructions. However, Ryoma learned how to tame monsters by using magic. This was the reason why Ryoma lived alone in the forest. A few days later, Reinhardt's father and wife showed up. Ryoma also met his daughter Eliaria, and he was happy to meet them all. Then the Jamil family noticed that Ryoma has a lot of slimes, and they wondered if all the slimes would fit in his apartment. Ryoma then ordered his slimes to merge together. Then Elise was impressed by Ryoma as she had never seen anyone own a big slime. After that, they said that their family are monster tamers, and Eliaria wanted to tame her first slime. Unfortunately, they didn't find any in the forest, as a result, so they asked Ryoma if he can show them. Ryoma showed them on a map where the slimes appear. Also, Eliaria wanted Ryoma's advice about the slimes, since she doesn't know that much about slimes. The reason was Ryoma had unknown slimes that never existed before. So Ryoma introduced his 2 newly created slimes, namely the scavenger slime and his cleaner slimes. Everyone was surprised by the cleaner slime, since his slime could remove very stubborn dirt immediately. Also, Ryoma showed the Jamil family that the slimes are harmless and they only eat dirt. Following, Eliaria wanted to catch a slime that evolves into a cleaner slime. She asked him about the conditions for evolving such a slime, but Ryoma was uncomfortable, and he told the men the conditions first. When Hughes explained to the women that she had to feed the slime with their dirty bathwater, all the women blushed. So everyone slapped Hughes, and he learned to be more sensitive the next time. Eliaria was uncomfortable attracting the slimes with her sweat in the water, but she was determined to catch one on her own. Ryoma knew from his previous life that doing everything alone was difficult, and she wished Eliaria good luck to catch a slime. She then set out with a bucket full of dirty water, and managed to tame her first slime by the evening. In the evening, Ryoma was asked if he would like to travel with the Jamil family, so Eliaria convinced Ryoma to travel with her family. When Reinhardt offered Ryoma to store his luggage in his servant Sebas his item box, the Jamil family learned that Ryoma had an own item box. They were surprised that Ryoma could use advanced magic, and Elise took a liking to Ryoma. Ryoma was happy with his decision, and he started packing up all his furniture and accumulated items. Then he said goodbye to the statues of the gods he was creating. The next day, Ryoma was ready for his journey, and the Jamil family picked Ryoma up. Then Sebas used a dimension spell, and 2 carriages with horses appeared of his portal. On the way to the next town of Gimel, the Jamil family learned that Ryoma has mastered all the elements of magic. Also, Ryoma told that he can still use alchemy. The Jamil family was impressed by Ryoma for possessing so many rare talents. As night fell, the carriage suddenly stopped, and Eliaria fell into Ryoma's arms. They were blushing. The Jamil family learned that there were problems due to an earthquake. Ryoma offered to help them, and he pulled out a raincoat that he made by his sticky slimes. Then Ryoma looked at the problem, and created a barrier that protects them to get wet from the rain. Following this, Ryoma used earth spells, and he turned the earth into bricks. Ryoma used his slimes and was able to solve the problem. Everyone was impressed by Ryoma, and they thanked them because they were really happy that Ryoma accompanied them on their journey. In the morning, Ryoma arrived in the city of Gimel, and he visited a new town for the first time since he was reborn in the world of Seyfal. Then Ryoma went to church with the Jamil family. They wanted to find out Ryoma's stats and make them an ID card. Following this, Ryoma was taken to a room where he created his ID using a crystal stone. Ryoma was summoned to the gods, and they were happy to be able to talk to Ryoma again. Ryoma thought he had died again, but the gods explained to him that only his consciousness was summoned to them and his body is unharmed. Ryoma learned that he can always talk with the gods in the church. Then the gods praised Ryoma as they found it amazing that he had tamed all the new slimes and was able to create unknown slimes, like the cleaner and scavenger slimes. In addition, Ryoma learned that an ancestor of the Jamil family also came from Earth. It was a young girl then. She was also sent by the gods to Seinfall, who had invented monster taming. They married into the Jamil family and are therefore also under the protection of the gods, like Ryoma. Additionally, Ryoma learned that Eliaria possesses powers similar to those of her Earth ancestors. Ryoma was happy for his friend that she is blessed with a lot of talent. After this, the gods said that there were several peoples from the Earth. Once they sent an Otoko into the world who wished for strong magic. He was extremely strong, but he couldn't overcome his fears from his previous life as an Otaku and lived a boring life. The gods were happy that Ryoma is different, and he tries many new things. Ryoma was praised, and they thanked him for entertaining them so much. Before Ryoma was sent back, he learned that other gods are interested in him too. When Ryoma's consciousness was back in his own body, his status transfer was transmitted, and he learned all of his status values. Later at the Jamil Manor, Ryoma was recommended to join a guild. Also, Elise said to take care of himself that others don't take advantage of him. The reason was Ryoma had far too special powers that are unusual at his age. However, Eliaria wanted to know about Ryoma's magic capacity. Eliaria admired Ryoma for being so good with using magic. Unfortunately, Eliaria wasn't that skilled, and Ryoma suggested that they could practice magic together in their free time. Eliaria was happy about Ryoma's offer to practice together. The next day, Ryoma was on his way to the Tamer guild with the family Jamil. So Eliaria signed up as a monster tamer. But Ryoma had a problem, because the rank is determined by the monster's strength. Ryoma is a slime tamer and he was unable to rank up into the guild due to the weak slimes. So Reinbach had the idea of Ryoma to join the Adventurers Guild, because it suits Ryoma better. However, Ryoma had to show his fighting skills in order to be accepted into the Adventurers Guild. In his first test, Ryoma had to hit various targets with a bow and arrow. Ryoma had no problem with the practice and he hit all the targets with ease. The guildmaster and Jamil family were impressed by Ryoma's high-level skills. After that, Ryoma should hit moving targets with his bow. Ryoma hit all the targets and was able to pass the second test. After hitting all the targets, he was attacked by the guildmaster. Ryoma managed to fend off the attack, and he was able to pass all the tests. Followed, Ryoma was registered as an adventurer, and he immediately got his G-rank adventurer ID card. Then Ryoma was explained that he must complete quests to increase his rank. After that, Ryoma looked around the guild, and he decided to select a cleaning quest as the first order. The next day he met Mia. She was overjoyed to see Ryoma willing to help her with her garbage problem. Ryoma learned that the garbage dump next to her house was no longer cleared by anyone. Also that garbage entered Mia's house through a broken wall. Ryoma summoned his cleaner and scavenger slimes, and he ordered his scavenger slimes to eat all of the trash. After the trash was cleared, Ryoma used his cleaner slimes to clean the dump. He also fixed the wall of the garbage dump and Mia's house with his sticky slimes. Ryoma was able to complete his first quest quickly, and Mia was extremely happy with Ryoma's help. She wept with joy and thanked him. After that, Ryoma said goodbye and went to the guild to collect his reward. Ryoma got a huge reward in the guild, and he learned that Mia had increased the reward because of his good work. Then he was called by Guildmaster Worgen. He praised Ryoma because nobody managed to get the dump clean until now. Following this, Ryoma was given a special quest, as Worgen asked if Ryoma could clean the public toilet pits. Ryoma learned that no one accepts the quest because the job comes from the town government. They are very stingy, and the slum dwellers, who are usually in charge of the job, refuse. The reason was the bad working conditions. Hearing about the bad conditions, Ryoma had to remember his old job. Ryoma accepted the assignment, and he wanted to help Worgen take care of the problem. Also, Ryoma had to tell about the bad conditions in front of the Jamil family. In the evening, Ryoma reported about the job to the Jamil family. Reinhardt had a suspicion that a member of the town government was embezzling money and had his official investigate it. The Jamil family immediately agreed to help the slum dwellers and prepared countermeasures. The next day, Ryoma stood in front of the public toilets, and he was shocked by the bad smell of the toilets. Ryoma then got ready and summoned his slimes. Then he put on protective clothing against the stench, and he started into the first pit. A foul stench came out, and Ryoma immediately ordered his scavenger slimes to eat the dirt. Ryoma then used his wash skill and disinfected the room. Ryoma quickly managed to clean the first pit, and his scavenger slimes multiplied from the many nutrients they ate. After that, he looked at their statistics of his slimes, and he noticed that there are toxic substances in the pits. Ryoma reported the poisonous miasma in the pit to the guildmaster and the Jamil family. Elise and Eliaria were concerned about Ryoma inhaling some of the poisonous substance. Ryoma was happy for their care and assured them that he is healthy. Then Worgen and the Jamil family wanted Ryoma to abort the mission because of the dangerous substances in the pits. Ryoma wanted to continue because the toilets pose a danger to the town's residents. The Jamil family tried to talk Ryoma out of the dangerous job, so Ryoma showed his high poison resistance that he possessed. As a result, the Jamil family accepted his decision to continue with the assignment. The next morning, Guildmaster Worgen sent more adventurers to assist Ryoma. So Ryoma took care of cleaning the pits, while the adventurers guarded the entrances to the pits so that no one would get sick from the poisonous substances. Ryoma became faster and faster in cleaning the pits, because the slimes multiplied, and by owning 1,000 scavenger slimes they could fuse together to form a king slime. While Ryoma did the cleaning, Elise and Eliaria brought Ryoma potions and lunch every day. Ryoma worked hard, and the other adventurers were amazed at how hard-working Ryoma is. After 3 days, Ryoma finished cleaning the pits, and managed to remove all poisonous substances. Followed then, Mia was very proud of Ryoma that he managed to clean everything. Ryoma then immediately went to report to Guildmaster Worgen about his completed quest. Ryoma returned exhausted to the Jamil family mansion. On the way home, he remembered how his mother would be waiting for him every morning. When she died, Ryoma was sad because there was no one who greeted him warmly when he came home. Then he opened the door. Eliaria and the others waited for Ryoma's return from his hard work. Ryoma was happy with his life in the new world because he found a loving family and he started to cry. Ryoma thanked them to meet the nice family of Jamil, so Elise and Eliaria hugged him. In that moment, he remembered the warm feeling in his heart that he always felt through his mother. Then Ryoma went to sleep and was finally able to rest and recover his stamina. The next day Eliaria cooked breakfast. She wanted to make Ryoma happy. Her mother and the servants helped Eliaria to surprise him. Then Ryoma thanked for the delicious breakfast. Ryoma tasted Eliaria's cooked food, and Hughes inadvertently made a silly comment and immediately regretted saying anything. After breakfast, Ryoma and the Jamil family are seen on a mountain outside of Gimel. So Ryoma wanted to teach Eliaria to use magic. Following this, Ryoma combined 2 different spells and cast fire magic that sparkled beautifully. Eliaria was impressed. Then Ryoma also showed possible spells with water magic. So Ryoma created bubbles that were flying around them, and Eliaria wanted to learn his spell. Followed Eliaria also managed to create soap bubbles. Unfortunately they burst immediately. So Ryoma gave her advice and she tried to implement his advice. Eliaria tried the spell again, and was now able to make soap bubbles as well. After that, Ryoma showed another spell, and he created a big soap bubble that didn't burst. Everyone was amazed by the bubble, and they enjoyed to play with them. Followed then, Ryoma wanted to show Eliaria more uses of magic. Ryoma then filled the bubble with water, and he could form the body of his bubble to different animals, so he formed a fish that was swimming in the sky. Eliaria thanked Ryoma for his great ideas. Eliaria then practiced using the newly learned spells. After that we see Ryoma. He also learned new spells from the magician Camille. He created fire arrows with his magic, and Ryoma was able to learn the fire arrow spell with ease. He then learned other strong spells, so he managed to learn all spells in just one day, and he had a lot of fun to learn everything. Ryoma learned many spells, and Camille was amazed that Ryoma could learn all the spells in such a quick time. Then Sabas appeared. He wanted to teach Ryoma space magic. Sabas learned that Ryoma could use teleportation magic. As a result, Sabas saw a lot of potential in Ryoma, and he wanted to teach him the warp spell first. Ryoma then learned more spells by Sabas. However, Sabas was able to teach him a lot of useful spells like Dimension Home or Item Box. Followed Ryoma practiced until the evening, and he managed to master all spells shown by Sabas. In the evening Sabas was proud of Ryoma, and congratulated him. After that, Ryoma and Seba used warp, and returned to the others. The next day, Ryoma and the Jamil family went to the abandoned North Gimel mine. The reason was Eliaria should gain combat experience, because as a nobility, she may have to fight against monsters or bandits in the future. In addition, Ryoma learned that Eliaria will have to attend school after their journey. After they arrived at the mine, Ryoma summoned all of his slimes from his dimension home, and they set out to fight against the monsters in the mine. The knights of the Jamil family told Ryoma and Eliaria that there are traps in the mines, so they should always walk behind them. Then they discovered the first monster. It was Giant Mantis. Hughes wished Eliaria good luck in her fight, so Eliaria tried to defeat the monster with ice arrows. Everyone was worried about her, but Eliaria managed to defeat her first monster. As they walked on, 4 monsters appeared, and Ryoma was allowed to fight as well. He used 2 short swords and attacked the monsters. Ryoma showed off his skills, and he was able to defeat 4 monsters at once with ease. Eliaria was impressed, and the others already guessed that Ryoma is also strong in close combat. As they were about to go back, Eliaria spotted a metal slime. Eliaria wanted to catch the slime, and she used ice magic to stop the slime from running away. Then Eliaria held the metal slime in her arms, and she wanted to gift the slime to Ryoma. Ryoma was happy, and he thanked Eliaria for the new slime. After that he looked at his slimes, and he wanted to feed his metal slime. So Ryoma used his alchemy skills, and he turned the rust on the ground into high-quality metal. Everyone was amazed by Ryoma's alchemy skills, and couldn't believe that Ryoma could create high-quality metal with the red sand. In the evening, Reinbach introduced Ryoma to the merchant Serge Morgan. Followed Ryoma showed him his high-quality metal. Serge was impressed with Ryoma's products, and he wanted to help Ryoma to sell his goods. Then Ryoma asked if Serge could keep his identity as a secret. The Jamil family explained the circumstances to Serge that it could cause many problems if someone knew that the high-quality good were created by a little boy. After that, Reinhardt said that Ryoma should get all the profits. Ryoma was surprised, and the Jamil family all agreed on the decision to give Ryoma all the profits. So Ryoma was happy, and he looked forward to future cooperation with Serge. In the days that followed, all adventurers were called to the guild, and the guildmaster told them that strong monsters were discovered in the mines. The guildmaster wanted that everyone help them to hunt the monsters. Followed, they prepared to wipe out the monsters in the mines. In the next day, Ryoma looked at his slime's abilities, and Eliaria wondered what Ryoma was doing. Ryoma wanted to see what his metal slime didn't like, and he found out that his metal slime is afraid of acid. Then his slime turned into a ball, and while playing the other adventurers wanted to pick him up. So Ryoma sent immediately his slimes back to his dimension home. Hirowareta told him to take care of himself on the mission. Following this, Ryoma and the adventurers went to the Gimel mine. Then they saw two different ways, so they split into two groups to destroy all the monsters in the mines. As they went deeper into the mine, Mia wanted to know how many slimes Ryoma tamed. He replied that he had already tamed over 4,000 slimes. The other adventurers couldn't believe that Ryoma could control so many slimes and were impressed by him. Then they encountered monsters, and Ryoma's group got into battle stance. They defeated the monsters with ease. Suddenly they noticed more monsters. So Ryoma suggested to attack the bat monsters with his sound bomb spell. Ryoma then summoned a spell that attacked the monsters with sound waves. As a result, Ryoma managed to defeat all the monsters with just one attack, and they found a mountain full of dead bats. Then Ryoma summoned his sticky slimes, and he ordered them to eat the bats. After all the bats were decomposed by Ryoma's slimes, they decided to going back out of the mine. Suddenly they learned that strong goblins were seen in the mines, which injured the second group of adventurers. The guildmaster had a plan. His plan was that all adventurers surround the goblins. Then the adventurers went back into the mine and they lured the dangerous goblins. Mia was able to lure the goblins into Ryoma's trap. Followed, the goblins were dissolved in the whole trap with acid, and the survivors defeated with Ryoma the other goblins with magic and poisoned darts. Meanwhile, other adventurers were in the middle of the mine and they were fighting against goblins. Ryoma and his defeated many goblins, but they noticed that their arrows were running out and that more goblins are appearing. So Ryoma tried to come up with a plan, but unfortunately the number of injuries kept increasing. Sometime later, the goblins got the upper hand, and Ryoma came up with a plan to defeat all of the goblins with his slimes. Followed, Ryoma summoned over 4,000 slimes, and the slimes surrounded the strong goblins in just a short moment. He then used his sound bomb spell, and he was able to immobilize all the goblins. Then he ordered his slimes to fight against the goblins. Ryoma was able to defeat many goblins, and he gave the adventurers a chance to win. Guildmaster Worgen ordered everyone to support Ryoma, and they were highly motivated to defeat the goblins. As a result, Ryoma and his slimes managed to kill the goblins. As they were about to celebrate their victory, the goblin leader appeared. The giant goblins were hiding, and the goblin commander had hog goblins with him as a backup. Ryoma immediately ordered his slimes to attack, and they managed to win against all the strong goblins. After their fight, the slimes dissolved the goblins' remains, and Ryoma asked everyone to stand around him. Then Ryoma used his cleaner slimes, and they ate up the dirt created by the goblins. Ryoma learned that goblin dirt is hard to clean, and Mia praised Ryoma. Once Ryoma was back outside, he learned from monster researcher Lapin that his slimes are evolved. Room learned that his healing slimes can use high heal now. After that, all adventurers showed up and they thanked Ryoma for his great support today. Ryoma was happy, and they were able to complete their mission successfully. On the way back, the other adventurers learned that the healing slimes only drink water and use photosynthesis to get their nutrients. They also learned that heal slimes are very weak. Everyone said they were surprised at how strong Ryoma was with his slimes, and they all admire him. When night fell, Ryoma wanted to relieve Jeff. He wasn't tired yet, and Ryoma kept him company. Jeff said Ryoma can rest with the other adventurers. Followed, Ryoma remembered his time alone in the forest, and he was glad to have met the Jamil family. Also through them, he was able to meet so many nice people. When Ryoma was dropped off at home, Mia cheered him up to start his own laundry. Then Ryoma told the Jamil family about his successful mission in the mine. They were surprised that there were 2,000 goblins in the mine. Then Ryoma also wanted to talk with them, so he told them about his desire to start his own laundry business. So Hirowareta was stunned by Ryoma's decision to be independent, and she wanted to know the reason of his decision to open a laundry. However, Ryoma said he was grateful for the family's love. He replied that he didn't want to continue being spoiled because he didn't want to put any inconvenience on the Jamil family. Hirowareta was very sad about his decision, but Elise understood Ryoma that he also wanted to grow up. So Elise accepted Ryoma's decision, but she said that he is only 11 years old, and he didn't need to worry, because everyone of their family loves him. Reinhardt and Reinbach then said that they could already sense his desire to be self-employed, because he was very mature for his age. Then the Jamil family said they would allow them to become a top G. So they made conditions for Ryoma that he should write letters to the Jamil family regularly, and also come visit them often. Ryoma was grateful, and Hirowareta also gave him a condition. She said they won't see each other for 3 years, because she needs to go to the Magic Academy. Ryoma should keep her promise to spend a lot of time with her when she has vacations. As a result, Ryoma said that he will not forget her promise. After their conversation, Elise said that until their family leaves town, Ryoma must continue to sleep at the Jamil family mansion. And Ryoma accepted to continue living with the Jamil family. Followed Ryoma then asked how long the Jamil family would stay in the city of Gimel. That's how Ryoma found out about the Grell frogs. They were frogs that could be made into medicine or armor. Reinbach said they only appear at certain times of the year. Ryoma thought that the Jamil family wanted to capture the Grell frogs, so Reinbach replied that they were targeting the Lemurin birds. However, Eliaria showed Ryoma pictures of the beautiful Lemurin birds. Following this, Ryoma was offered to go and look for Lemurin birds with the Jamil family. After that, Reinhardt asked about Ryoma's plan to start his own business. Ryoma then said that he wanted to continue doing quests as an adventurer, and that he plans to open a laundry with his cleaner slimes. Then the maids told that Ryoma's cleaning slime can remove all stains, and they do real wonders. Reinbach wanted to support Ryoma, and he decided to ask Merchant Surge for help, and giving Ryoma advice. Suddenly Reinhardt asked for a favor. He wanted Ryoma to check the mines from time to time, so no more monsters would nest there. The next day, Ryoma visited Serge, and he asked for advice to open his laundry. Serge was impressed with his cleaner slimes, and he saw a bright future for Ryoma's business. Serge recommended Ryoma to register into the Merchant Guild, who can support him. Then Serge wanted to show Ryoma the Merchants Guild, and they drove to Guildhouse in a carriage. In the carriage, Serge said that he is very excited to see Ryoma's first business, and he said Ryoma can always call him for help by questions. Following this, Ryoma met Guildmaster Galessa of the Merchant Guild. Then Galessa found out about Ryoma's business plan, and she liked his idea to open a laundry with his rare cleaner slimes. So she showed Ryoma the registration forms. Also she showed Ryoma a cheap place to build a store. Later on we see Ryoma. He was surprised that he had found a perfect location for his shop. He told Eliaria about his decision, and Serge offered him to take care of the paperwork for a small fee. Also, Serge suggested that Ryoma should hire employees for his shop. Suddenly Serge told Ryoma that he haven't enough knowledge about to build a business. As a result, Serge wanted to introduce him experienced managers, who can help him with his business. In the days that followed, construction work begins by Ryoma. He used his slimes and immediately set up the foundation of his laundry. So Ryoma managed to set up his laundry in just a short time, and the Knights of the Jamil family helped Ryoma. They said that Ryoma could call them any time for help. The next day, Mia and the other adventurers also showed up. They painted the wall with Ryoma. Mia said she was proud of Ryoma, and the adventurers were excited for Ryoma's laundry to open. Then Wilana said that they will all be regular customers of his laundry, and Ryoma thanked them in advance. After a few days his shop was completed and he named it Bamboo Forest, because he knew that's his chosen name is the perfect one for a top G. Then Eliaria said that Ryoma could still plant flowers to make his shop better. Ryoma loved her idea, and they planted a flower bed. After that, Eliaria worried that Ryoma was working too much. Ryoma replied that he is used to working a lot and doesn't mind. Then Ryoma said that he used to make dolls, and he wanted to give her a self-made doll in the future. Eliaria was looking forward to spending time with Ryoma making dolls. In the evening, Ryoma wanted to do a party to thank all his friends who helped him so much. Suddenly Ryoma decided to go to church, so Ryoma went to church and his soul was transported to the realm of the gods. Kufo greeted Ryoma and he noticed that the other gods aren't there. Kufo told that Lulusha is shopping on Earth, and Gain enjoyed himself at an idol concert. So Ryoma was surprised, and Kufo told him about his own hobbies. Ryoma learned that Kufo had many dangerous adventures on Earth, because he loves to do top G things. Then the time was already up, and Kufo told him that his mind adapts to his body, and he becomes more childlike as a result. Ryoma understood what Kufo wanted to tell him, and he thanked Kufo for his advice. After that, Ryoma went home and he was already looking forward to his party. The next day, Ryoma invited all of his friends to the party, and everyone was looking forward to Ryoma's party. Then we see Serge. He was in a carriage with 2 people. He wanted to introduce them to Ryoma. Meanwhile, Ryoma and Eliaria were cooking with the help of maid Ariani and Lilia. They prepared delicious food for the party. Then Eliaria said that Serge had arrived at his laundry with the workers. The 2 twins were surprised that the shop owner is a 11-year-old boy. Serge replied that Ryoma is already very mature for his age. Ryoma then appeared, and Serge congratulated Ryoma for completing his laundry. After that, Ryoma was introduced to the 2 twins Carla and Callum. Serge then said that the two twins are also very young, but already have a lot of experience, which will bring him many advantages. Ryoma wanted to show the two how his laundry works, so Ryoma said that the laundry is packed in a bag, and the customer then gets a claim check. The bags with the dirty laundry in the room are then cleaned by the cleaner slimes. The twins wanted to see the cleaner slimes, so Ryoma showed his slimes. The slimes were working, and the twins were surprised to see so many slimes. Ryoma said that the slimes could remove any dirt, and they only need to check on the end of the process. The two immediately understood the process of his laundry shop. As a result, Ryoma noticed that the two already have a lot of professional experience. Then Ryoma showed the staff area of his shop. They were then shown the workers' hostel, and he offered that they can choose their room. Suddenly, Mia and his other adventurer friends appeared. So Ryoma's party started, and they were served all the deliciously cooked food of Ryoma. Then Ryoma wanted to give a speech and he was nervous. After that, Ryoma started his speech, and Mia was proud of Ryoma for being so grown up. He then thanked his friends for coming to his store and he wished everyone a lot of fun at the party. Then Worgen and Galessa talked to each other, and Galessa said that Ryoma has a great future with his laundry store. Meanwhile, Carla and Callum worked, and they were impressed by Ryoma. After that, Ryoma wanted to know if the Jamil family likes his food. Ryoma was scared because the Jamil family are nobles. Reinhardt then said to Ryoma that expensive doesn't always mean tastier. Then we see Mia and Jeff, they loved Ryoma's dishes and couldn't get enough. Then Eliaria appeared with the dessert and everyone was happy about his baked pie. When the party was over, Ryoma thanked the twins for their help. He feared that Carla and Callum might not want to work for a little boy. Suddenly they said that they would love to work with Ryoma. They could see how trusting and kind Ryoma is. Ryoma was praised, and they wanted to learn a lot from Ryoma. So Ryoma was looking forward to working with the two twins, Carla and Callum. Afterwards, Ryoma remarked that the two thought he is a noble, because he is living with the Jamil family in a mansion. Then Ryoma explained the misunderstanding to him, and Ryoma said that he is just a normal adventurer. The next morning, Ryoma's first business day began. Callum and Carla then appeared, so they tended the shop together with Ryoma and Eliaria. After that, Ryoma wanted to go to the guild to let them know that his laundry is now open. Eliaria left too, she had magic classes, and she said goodbye to Ryoma. Then we see Ryoma in the guild house, and the adventurers already knew about the opening of Ryoma's laundry. They wanted to stop by Ryoma's laundry on their way home. Followed the adventurers went to work, and Ryoma also accepted a quest. Then Meilen wished him a lot of fun with his quest. In the afternoon he stopped by the mines of Gimel and he defeated all the monsters. Meanwhile, his slimes gathered herbs for his quest. When Ryoma finished his quest, he saw many customers. Ryoma immediately teleports to the laundry, and many customers were happy with Ryoma's service. However, Ryoma's slimes cleaned the customers' laundry, and they managed to keep all customers satisfied by the evening. Suddenly, Ryoma noticed that the two twins didn't have a break the whole day. Ryoma wanted to hire new employees, and he decided to become a good employer. So Ryoma made a plan for good working conditions. Following this, Ryoma went to the Merchants Guild. Galessa already expected his business to be successful, and she took care of hiring new workers. After that, the Jamil family found out about his great business day, and they were happy for Ryoma. After their conversation, Ryoma wanted to go to sleep, and Eliaria wished him sweet dreams. Followed, he remembered about his old life as an office worker, and he was happy to live such a peaceful life now. The following day, Ryoma's laundry is seen, and he had many happy customers. Also, the women were shocked that all the stains were cleaned, and Ryoma told the two managers that he is going to the Merchant Guild. Ryoma visited Guildmaster Galessa, and she wanted to introduce him to qualified candidates. Then the many candidates met Ryoma, and they were shocked that Ryoma is a little boy. Followed, Ryoma told them that he is the owner of Bamboo Forest Laundry. He also said that he uses slimes to clean everything, and people who didn't want to work with him can reject the job offer. Many of the applicants were insecure about working for a little boy, and they didn't like the slime monsters either. Following this, most of them left, and two people agreed to work with Ryoma. This is how Fei and his daughter Li Ling introduced themselves. Fei then showed his injured leg, and asked if he could work at Ryoma's laundry despite his broken leg. Ryoma had no problem, and he wondered if his heel slimes could heal Fei's leg. Afterwards, Ryoma told that they have dormitories for the workers, and Ryoma remarked that they aren't normal people. Suddenly, Ryoma asked why they have weapons with them. Fei said they used to work as assassins in their past but wanted to change their life. Jalessa knew about their previous jobs, and she assured Ryoma that they are both very nice people. After that, Li-ling shared their story that they didn't have a job anymore, because their master lost the war. So they worked in the mines, but Li-ling's father broke his leg, and they could no longer work there either. So the two then were hired by Ryoma, and they were very grateful for the job offer. Then Ryoma also asked them if they could care about the security of his laundry store. After that, Ryoma showed the two new employees his laundry shop. As a result, the two loved his shop, and they were seeing forward to work with Ryoma. Ryoma then introduced his new employees, Fei and Li-ling, to the manager twins. They got to know each other and looked forward to working together. Then they learned about the work sequence, and Li-ling was surprised at the number of slimes. This is how the first day ended for his new employees, and Ryoma found out that they had many customers again on the second day. After that, Carla and Callum should take over the finances of his laundry, and Ryoma wanted to treat Fei's injury, so they followed Ryoma to the next room, and Ryoma summoned his slimes out of his dimension home. However, Fei's broken leg was healed by one of Ryoma's slime. After that, Fei was glad he could walk again, and Li-ling was happy too. So they both thanked Ryoma for his healing, because a normal treatment would be too expensive for them. Also, Ryoma learned about the bad working conditions in their home country, and they were glad to have met such a nice boy like Ryoma. Later on, Ryoma showed them their new home, and they were very happy with their rooms. By the end of the day, Ryoma was surprised at the earnings, so the twin managers said his business is a great success. They wanted to persuade Ryoma to start considering about making branches in other towns. So Ryoma thought about their advice to open a second store. Then Ryoma said that Li-ling and Fei are also responsible for the safety of the laundry. So Ryoma raised their salary for their extra work, and they were very grateful. The next day, Ryoma went to his laundry again, and Eliaria wanted to help him with his business, but she had to get ready for school. Then we see Ryoma's laundry, and its employees working diligently together with the slimes. Meanwhile, Ryoma baked a pizza, and he served their employees his cooked dishes during the breaks. They were happy about the delicious dishes, and thanked him. After that, we see Mia and the other adventurers. They were happy that their clothes were immediately cleaned by Ryoma's cleaner slimes. On the evening, the third working day passed, and Ryoma's income doubled again. Then Ryoma found out that they gained many new customers too. Followed, Ryoma planned to hire more employees for supporting them. He also wanted to hire a cook for the employees as a reward for their hard work. All the employees praised Ryoma for being a great boss. Following this, Ryoma visited the Merchants Guild. He told Galessa that he needed more employees, and also a cook. Galessa was amazed that Ryoma had created such great working conditions in his business. The next day, Ryoma met 3 women, and they were impressed by Ryoma for having a successful business at such a young age. Then he got to know the cook Selma, and Ryoma was looking forward to their future working relationship. Suddenly, Jalessa gave him the advice that Ryoma should open a second laundry too. In the days that followed, the new employees got to know their daily routine, and Ryoma got used to running his own business. Ryoma became a top G with his business, and he considered opening another store. Meanwhile, the family Jamil watched Ryoma working so hard, and they were very proud of him for running a successful laundry business on his own. The next day, Ryoma visited his merchant friend Serge. He congratulated Ryoma on his successful first business. He then asked if he could produce waterproof garments, in addition to his great products that he always creates. Serge told him that the Grell Frog season will start soon. As a result, he wanted to support the adventurer. So Ryoma was asked to make waterproof garments, and Ryoma replied that he can produce a bunch of waterproof garms. After that, we see Eliaria in the bedroom of Ryoma. Ryoma was feeding a normal slime. Eliaria learned that Ryoma is trying to create a new metal slime by feeding them. Also, Ryoma said that he wanted to produce the waterproof garm later in the abandoned mine. Eliaria wanted to go with him to the abandoned mine. She then unpacked a violin, and Ryoma learned that in order to tame the lemur birds, she had to play music and give them a concert. The reason is, if the birds like the music, it will be easier to tame them. Then Eliaria played on his violin beautiful music. Ryoma and all of his slimes were enjoying Eliaria's music. Then Ryoma made the waterproof garms with the help of his slimes. Sometime later, they finished and the garm need to dry. So Ryoma wanted to make Eliaria a doll. Next, Ryoma used his magic, and he formed clay into a doll. Ryoma created a homemade doll that looks like Eliaria. She was happy about Ryoma's gift. When they returned home together, Ryoma showed a bunch of his homemade dolls that looks like the family Jamil and their friends. Everyone was amazed by Ryoma's talent, and Eliaria's parents told her to take dolls to her new school as a lucky charm. Eliaria liked their idea, and she wanted another doll that looks like her crush Ryoma. The next morning, Ryoma was at his laundry, and his shop had many customers. He then went back to the Gimel mine to make more waterproof garms. Then he decided to teach his slimes combat training. This is how the slimes learn to fight, and he also trained with his huge king slime. Also, he looked at the strength of his slimes. Later, his slime suddenly evolved, and it wasn't a Pikachu, but an iron slime. Followed, Ryoma realized the reason for his evolving to an iron slime. He then analyzed the iron sands, and he understood the reason why he didn't evolve to a metal slime. On the evening, we see Ryoma in his laundry, and Fina showed up. She said his cleaner slimes are really great. Suddenly they multiplied, and she was surprised by the slimes. After that, the workers wanted to show Ryoma his sales, because Ryoma's profit has tripled compared to yesterday. The twins Carla and Callum reported that many companies have recommended his laundry. The other employees also say that all the customers loved his cleaning service, and Ryoma thanked them all for their good work. Ryoma then asked if they were happy to work in the bamboo forest. Everyone agreed that Ryoma is a great boss, and Ryoma remarked that he forgot to give his employees days off. He was afraid that his employees would overwork themselves. As a result, Ryoma apologized, but the employees didn't know why he apologized to them. Followed, they were happy about the days off, because in the world many employers are evil, who only try to exploit their workers. The girls also said some company managers sexually abuse the women. Ryoma was shocked that there were bad employers in this world too, and he wanted to treat his employees well. The following day, Ryoma visited the Adventurers Guild, and Meilen congratulated him on his great success with his laundry. However, Ryoma learned that a group of adventurers from another city caught a rare slime. They wanted to sell the rare slime, but nobody was interested in buying the slime. Meilen told Ryoma about the whereabouts of the adventuring party. So he found the adventurers in a bar, and they tried to forget their frustration with alcohol. Then Ryoma introduced himself to them, and one adventurer was in a bad mood. Ryoma knew about their problem, and the drunk adventurer thought that Ryoma was looking down on him. He immediately wanted to attack Ryoma. Suddenly, he started crying because they traveled to Gimel from a faraway city, and they couldn't sell the slime. Shin, the leader of the group, apologized to Ryoma for his friend's rude behavior. Afterwards, Ryoma said that he would like to buy the rare slime since he is a slime tamer. Shin accepted him to buy their captured slime, and he allowed Ryoma to determine the price. However, Ryoma was seeing the rare slime, and it was different from his previously tamed slimes. Ryoma was interested, and the adventurers were delighted with the news. Following this, Ryoma paid a lot of money, and Kai wanted to ask if he is sure to pay them 2 gold coins for the slime. After that, Ryoma told the adventurers Shin and Kai that they will soon be able to earn money by catching the Grell frogs. Also, Ryoma was a top G and he said he had a laundry. He offered them to visit him if they are interested. After that, Ryoma teleported to the entrance of Gimel Mine, and he looked at his new slime's abilities. He now had a bloody slime and was good at sucking, so his slime could suck blood from a dead monster. Ryoma was happy about his new slime. After that, Ryoma spent the following days peacefully in his laundry, and he also made another doll for Eliaria that looks like himself. Then we see the gods. They were watching Ryoma in the god realm, and they were very happy that Ryoma was enjoying his new isekai life. Suddenly, Gain choked on his bubble tea. Sometime later, Ryoma looked at a book about the Grell frogs. Eliaria said that her family wanted to teach her new monster taming skills tomorrow, and she offered Ryoma to accompany her. As a result, Ryoma was excited to learn more about monster taming with Eliaria. The next day, near the Gimel mine, the family Jamil decided to teach the 2 children new monster taming skills. Elise then asked how much they know about monster taming. Eliaria replied that with the monster taming skills, they can borrow the powers of the tamed monsters. Also, they can communicate with monsters using their magic. Then Elise said she wanted to teach them magic that can share the monster's senses. Followed, Ryoma learned that he can use the spell Shared Sensation. As a result, he can also recognize dangers early. Reinhardt then said that the spell is very difficult to learn, and that they should practice with the crew birds today. Eliaria wanted to practice with the slimes, so she was told that slimes are unsuitable as they cannot taste, see or smell with their senses. The 2 then tamed the 2 birds immediately, so they both managed to tame the bird-type monsters. After that, Ryoma and Eliaria should try to feel their connection between the birds. Ryoma concentrated, and he immediately managed to share his senses with the tamed bird. Ryoma said it felt weird, so Reinhardt gave him some advice. Followed Ryoma got better at using the skill, and Eliaria also managed to share her senses with the birds. The two learned very quickly, and the adults were impressed that Ryoma and Eliaria could learn the skills with ease. Ryoma quickly got used to the weird feeling, because he had a VR headset in his previous life. Afterwards, Elise asked if he was his first time taming a new type of monster species. Then he learned that no one could tame all types of monsters. Everyone can only tame monsters for which they are suitable. So Ryoma learned that he was able to tame so many slimes, because he had the affinity for slimes. Afterwards, Reinbach said that every monster tamer has to find out for himself which monsters suit to himself. Ryoma then learned that Reinbach suit to tame monsters with scales. Then Reinhardt told him that he can't create contracts with bird-type monsters. Following this, Elise revealed her monster type, and she called a Fenrir. Ryoma thought the Fenrir was an enemy, but the misunderstanding was cleared up. In addition, Elise told him she was able to tame wolf-type monsters. Ryoma was impressed by Elise, and he couldn't believe that she tamed 20 more Fenrir monsters. She also owned 100 other wolf-type monsters. Following, Reinhardt said that his wife is very talented because Fenrir are very difficult to tame. Afterwards, Reinhardt said he used to feel inferior because he was just average compared to his father and Elise. His father laughed because he became a good swordsman instead, and Ryoma was fascinated by the Jamil family. Then Eliaria wondered what Ryoma was thinking. Suddenly, Elise said that Reinbach is much more impressive because he tamed a group of dragons. This is how Ryoma learned that half of his tamed monsters are dragons. Reinbach said he was just lucky and his first monster was a dragon leader. As a result, he was also able to tame his whole group, but he can rarely call them because they are far too powerful. Then Ryoma learned that his dragon lives in the mountains and protects people from danger. Then Elise said that her Fenrir's lives in the woods, and Reinhardt explained to Ryoma that it is difficult for strong monsters to find a suitable place to live. A few days later, we see Ryoma making more waterproof garms, and he sent them to Serge. After that, he went to the Adventurers Guild, and his friends were looking forward to the Grell Frog season. They said that they can use the monster's materials to craft valuable medicine and equipment. They then had a question for Ryoma, because they wanted to know about his work clothes. Walana and Mizelia wanted to avoid getting their clothes dirty, so Ryoma replied that the company Morgan sells work clothes. His friends thanked Ryoma for the information. They immediately decided to visiting Serge to buy work clothes. In the evening, he found out that the Jamil family want to go to the lake the day after tomorrow, because Eliaria wanted to tame a lemur bird. Afterwards, Ryoma also practiced with his guitar. He also wanted to try his luck at a concert, so Ryoma was looking forward to their trip to the lake together. Suddenly he realized that after their trip, Eliaria had to go to school, and he was a little sad about it. 2 days later, Ryoma and the Jamil family were on their way to the lake. Eliaria was tired, and she was impressed by Ryoma for having so much energy. The knight said that Eliaria is holding up well too, and that Ryoma is just special. Then Ryoma met Shin and his adventurer group. Ryoma wanted to talk to them a bit more, and Shin thanked him. Suddenly the adventurer Sign apologized, because he was ashamed of having bothered him when he was drunk. He also thanked Ryoma for his advice on making money with the Grell frogs. Ryoma was happy, and Shin and his group wanted to visit his laundry after their quest. Then he ran to the lake, and they watched the beautiful lemur birds fly at the sky. The birds chased the frogs, and Ryoma also discovered his friends. They also put a lot of effort into catching the Grell frogs to make a lot of money. After that, Reinhardt saw someone trying to tame a lemur bird. The strange guy played his flute very badly, and Ryoma wanted to know how important good music is. This is how Ryoma learned that if the concert is bad, the birds give a dislike and make a warning sound. The birds didn't like the whistle music, and the man was angry and tried to attack them. The lemur birds fought back with wind blades, and the adventurer fled. The lemur birds pursued him and tried to kill him. Ryoma managed to create a wall in time. Suddenly the lemur birds let out a cry, and all suffered excruciating pain. Ryoma didn't affect the strong magic, and he sensed that a single lemur bird who caused the problem. Then Ryoma used his magic to isolate the special bird, and he managed to contain the noise in a room. The birds then flew away, and Reinhardt ordered Camille to help the injured adventurers. Afterwards they thanked Ryoma for saving them all, and Ryoma wanted to know what happened. Reinbach explained to Ryoma that the expelled bird was a powerful nightmare lemur bird. This bird is very rare, which could also use dark magic. Ryoma was horrified that so many were badly injured, and he remembered that the gods had given him high resistances. Because of this, Ryoma had no problems with the attack. Afterwards, All adventurers received medical treatment, but unfortunately, all lemur birds had disappeared. Eliaria wanted to catch a lemur bird, and she decided to wait for their return. Then we see Ryoma's laundry workers. They were working and waited for dinner. Meanwhile, Li-Ling praised the cleaner slimes for their good work, and the twins took care of the laundry. Followed, we see Ryoma waited with Eliaria, that they hoped the lemur birds would return back. Suddenly she said that soon they won't be able to see each other anymore. Ryoma didn't know how to answer to her sad words. Then he tried to cheer her up, but her mother supported him in their conversation. Eliaria was cheered up again, so she wanted that Ryoma to write her lots of letters. Suddenly, Riz Master Hughes appeared. He gave him an advice to win Eliaria's heart. Ryoma was still too inexperienced with girls, and Reinhardt wanted to protect his daughter. Meanwhile, Hughes teased Ryoma by kissing a tree. As a result, Ryoma knocked him out for teasing him. Eliaria could hear their talk, and she blushed. After that, the lemur birds returned, and Ryoma wanted to go far away so as not to scare the lemur birds. But Eliaria told him to stay, because his presence gives her courage. Following, Eliaria started with her concert for the many lemur birds. She played beautiful music, and the birds enjoyed listening to her relaxing melody. Everyone was fascinated by her self-created music, and they enjoyed the beautiful melody together. Then the lemur birds approached Eliaria, and Ryoma wished her luck to tame them all. As a result, Eliaria successfully managed to tame a group of lemur birds, and she was very happy. Then Ryoma wanted to try to tame a few lemur birds with his guitar too. So Ryoma played his music for the lemur birds and they listened carefully. Ryoma was in his flow and Hughes had to cry because of his beautiful melody. Then a group of lemur birds also approached, and the nightmare lemur bird also liked Ryoma's music. However, Ryoma was able to tame the lemur birds too, so he was delighted with his new monster friends. Eliaria and his adventurer friends were proud of Ryoma and congratulated him for taming them. Everyone was happy that the two could tame such strong monsters. Then Sabus noticed that Eliaria was taming a shiny bird. She found out that she had tamed a rare phantom lemur bird with light affinity. Then Reinhardt wanted to pet the phantom bird, but the shiny Pokemon didn't like him. Afterward, they returned to the mansion, and they celebrated Eliaria and Ryoma's successful taming of lemur birds. Also, Eliaria played a song for them all. Afterwards we see Ryoma. He was a playboy, and managed to seduce Eliaria into his bedroom. Suddenly Eliaria became sad, because she soon had to say goodbye to live in the magic school. Ryoma learned that nobles needs to go to school, if they became 12 years old. Then Eliaria said that she was afraid of not making friends at school, because the ordinary students were afraid of her. The reason is the other students are normal citizens, and she also got very strong magic. This is how Ryoma learned that her magic once got out of control at the age of 5, and she hurt another boy. The boy was afraid of Eliaria, and Eliaria feared Ryoma was afraid of her too, after hearing her story. Ryoma replied that he isn't afraid of her, and he cheered her up. Also, Ryoma said that he is different too, and Eliaria said that she will never be afraid of him. After that, Eliaria wanted to give him a goodbye gift. So she showed him a magic necklace with a magic stone. Ryoma didn't want to accept such an expensive gift, but Eliaria persuaded him to keep it for her. The necklace was meant to remind him of their important promise that they would meet again. So Ryoma also wanted to give his crush Eliaria something special. Ryoma then gave her a cleaner slime and a scavenger slime. She was delighted with his 2 slimes. The next morning, the Jamil family set out on a journey to the next town, and the servant said that he should come and visit them often. Also that he should always eat lots of vegetables. Then he said goodbye to the Jamil family, and they all asked him to write them letters regularly. Eliaria was sad about the farewell, and she wanted him to stop talking so politely. Then she also said he could call her Elia instead of her full name. Followed then she said that she will study hard at school so that she can become a great woman. Then they said goodbye, and their adventure together ended. Ryoma looked forward and he was already began to missing Eliaria and her lovely family.